Hola mis queridos. Welcome to this special edition called El amor es empalagoso, where we will discuss love and friendship within the Mexican culture, inspired by the recent Día del Amor y la Amistad, or as we know it in the United States, Valentine's Day. So stay tuned because you're about to feel warm and fuzzy inside. Let's start out with the word empalagoso. This is one of my absolute favorite words in the Spanish language, and it means that something is so sweet, it's overwhelmingly sweet. It's almost too much. And this can describe food items or even love or a relationship. So prepare yourselves because you are about to receive a super dose of cariño or affection. So although my focus today is Mexico specifically, because that's where I can give you a lot of firsthand examples of experience, a lot of the concepts that we are going to talk about apply to Latin American countries and culture in general. Now, one thing I'd like to say about these countries and Mexico is that there exists a lot of calidez, which is warmth, and you feel it from its people, through their gestures, through the fact that these countries are more tactile. There's physical closeness, and you'll also see this a lot through the language, through the specific words that are chosen, through the way that we deliver messages, and this can be through greetings, through goodbyes. And I think what I really want you to take away with this is that it's not limited to just a partner or a pareja or significant other. This exists also with friendships y amistades. So it's no surprise then that El Día del Amor y la Amistad, also celebrated on February 14th, is to honor both love, partners, and friendships. To kick off today's theme, I wanted to start out with the amor side. And I thought you might really enjoy to see how one base word or one stem word could evolve to have multiple other meanings that you would least expect with a sentimental value. So we're going to start out by analyzing the word flechar. Before we look at the word flechar in its infinitive, unconjugated context, let's look at the base word, which is flecha or arrow. This word I actually learned by watching an episode of the cartoon version of El Chavo del Ocho, which is a great way for you to learn and enhance your vocab, and it's really entertaining. And flecha, arrow, can be turned into flechar, to shoot with an arrow, or to wound with an arrow, if we just add an R and put it in its infinitive form. From there, we can conjugate the verb in many different tenses, or in all of its tenses. Flechar can also be what Cupid always intended, which is essentially to become love-struck. So the definition of flechar is enamorar, which is to fall in love, or to cautivar los sentidos súbitamente a alguien, which basically means to instantly develop feelings for someone. So if you are feeling love-struck, it's because you are flechado or flechada, and that would be the past participle form, the state in which you are in of being love-struck. This same pattern can also work for other lovey-dovey terms that help us express ourselves. So let's take, for example, the word conquista, which is conquest. If we add on the R and put it in its infinitive form, we have conquistar, which is to conquer. But we can also think of it in the sense of love, how we would conquer someone or win someone over. So for example, if I have un corazón conquistado, it's basically like saying my heart has been won over. Now, besides the word empalagoso, which I hope you start utilizing it in your daily speech and in sentences, my absolute favorite concept is all of the pet names in terms of endearment that we have for our friends and for our loved ones in Latin America. And there are some really unique ones about Mexico that I absolutely love, and I use these daily. These are part of like the fabric or tejido of how my friends and I speak the language, and I think you're really going to like them. So the first one would be corazón, which we know is heart, but you would say it to your partner as well. So you could say, hola corazón, ¿cómo estás mi corazón? And honestly, it means like sweetie, and it's such a nice way to greet somebody that you really care about. But it doesn't just have to be a romantic partner either. I think 3 weeks ago, I was at a Walgreens, and the cashier also called me corazón, which is like, it makes my heart melt. Another word that functions like this as well is mi vida, or in other words, just vida, which yes is my life, but in this context again, it's like saying dear or sweetie. And then finally, we could also say mi amor, right? My love. So again, it wouldn't be uncommon for somebody that's maybe a little bit older or kind of a maternal type of figure to call you one of these words, and it feels so good. And one interesting thing about these is that you don't have to really conjugate them. You don't have to worry if there's an O or an A necessarily, if you're speaking to male or female, because in and of themselves, they're just nouns. So you're literally calling somebody life, you're calling somebody heart. So they're pretty easy, neutral words that you can apply in your daily life. Now in Mexico, we like to rhyme a lot, and we like to make things really cute, really diminutive, and I notice a lot of food words are incorporated into salutations in terms of endearment. So you may actually hear corazón de melón a lot, which is literally a heart of melon, but it's just another like cutesy way of greeting, you know, a friend or, you know, somebody you're even flirting with, I guess. And the other very common word would be cariño, which don't worry again about saying cariña for a female, because in itself, cariño is the word for affection, but it also can mean dear. So by just calling somebody hola cariño, you're saying, hey dear. It's also extremely common to apply adjectives and make them names or titles. So before we get into all of them, I'll give you an example of one so you can break down the concept. Bonito or bonita, as I'm sure you know, would mean pretty. So instead of just saying estás bonito or te ves bonita, which is you look pretty, you can just use the adjective itself to be the noun. So for example, hola bonito, ¿cómo estás? Hola bonita, ¿qué tal tu día? However you want to say it, you would apply it in that context. So let's look at some other words too and see what are the most common. We have words like chulo, which I love words that have a CH in them, and they're super common in Mexico. Chulo, chula. It's a super cutesy way of saying pretty or cute. And we also have hermoso, hermosa, lindo, linda, guapo, guapa. And just to make sure this concept really hits home, think of how we call people cutie. It is a physical description because they may be cute or they may be attractive, but we also kind of apply it as a noun or a title. And beyond just saying that they look a certain way, it has kind of a you're a cutie pie kind of essence to it. So this is the same concept. And of course, if you're flirting, if you're in that stage of getting to know someone, maybe you're even online on a dating app, you might use these words. Obviously with your partner, whether it's been a short-term relationship, long-term relationship, marriage, all of these terms you're certainly going to use. And finally with friends, we use them all the time. Even with my guy friends, I always say like, ¿qué tal guapo? ¿Cómo estás guapo? These 5 words are just a very humble attempt at what are probably hundreds of words in terms of endearment that you can call your friends. So feel out the dynamic between the people you're interacting with, see how they speak to you and reciprocate it, and have a ton of fun coming up with words to call your friends. Now I have a few more that I think you are really going to love. These are funny And they're also exceptional if you are flirting. So to flirt is coquetear or ligar. And I really think you're going to like these. Remember when I said that we like to make things diminutive, kind of small and cute and nice in Spanish? These are no exception. So one of the words that we like to call each other is can you say it without laughing? Chiquito or chiquita. And if you want to like make it even more suave, you could say something like with a double L, chiquillo, chiquilla. I love when people say muñeco or muñeca, which is literally a doll. And I like that that concept also exists just as in English in Spanish. So if you want to say, hey doll, to somebody, you would say, hola muñeco or hola muñeca. A few other words that I absolutely love are the word for baby, but it's not bebe how you would think. It's actually even more poetic in my mind, and it's nene or nena. And the other word that I hear all the time in Mexico, I use it probably on a daily basis. I don't know why. I don't know where this word came from. If it's just an adaptation to a diminutive form of chiquito, chiquillo, but we say chiquis all the time. There's even a character, if you've seen La Casa de las Flores, one of the characters is La Chiquis. And yeah, it's just used all the time, chiquis. And another combination of words, chiquistriquis. And it's so silly. I was looking up the origin of where on earth did this word come from? Why do we use it in Spanish? And apparently, according to a few sources that I've seen, it came from, I think, the third movie from Shrek, where he stops one of the princesses from intervening in a situation. I think Rapunzel, if I'm not mistaken, and he says, not now, chiquistriquis. And ever since then, according to a few different magazine articles that I've read that talk about like pop culture, this is maybe where that word came from. I don't know for sure, but it's pretty darn cute. Okay, now there's 4 things that we need to talk about because I feel like there exists a lot of ambiguity. So let's see if we can get through this. 4 different phrases that seem very similar, but require a lot of context to exactly understand what's happening here. So we have me gustas, me encantas, te quiero y te amo. What is the difference between all of these phrases? Let's start with me gustas. Now, if we're not even talking to a person and saying, I like you, but we're just saying me gusta, we like something, we like it. It basically just means like it's pleasing to us, right? So me gusta el café, I like or I enjoy coffee. But the second you say me gustas to someone and you tell them that, you're basically saying there's a physical attraction that you like them in that way. So if that's your intention, perfect. If it's not, probably what you would prefer to say then is me caes bien. Basically saying like, you're cool, I get along with you, or basically, you know, I enjoy hanging out with you is the context that we want to take away from that. But if you want to say I like you, then yes, me gustas, me encantas. Let's start out by looking at the word me encanta, or the words me encanta. It basically means you love it or you love something. So for example, McDonald's marketing strategy is I'm loving it. And they translate all of their branding in Spanish into the slogan me encanta. So in that respect, it's like we're saying we're charmed by it, we're delighted by it, we love it in that way. So if you have a friend who humors you or entertains you, whether it's through an action or a gesture or comment, whatever, and you're like, I love you, then you could say me encantas, but it's just like a friendly response to that action that they might have done or those qualities that they have. So we can think of in a romantic sense then, me gustas is like an initial attraction, it may not necessarily even depend on traits or qualities that they have, but as you get to meet someone over time and you start to discover things about them and those qualities, then you may develop a me encantas kind of feeling towards that person, which goes beyond just the attraction and really speaks about the things that they do that you're really like in love with or really charmed by. All right, vamos con lo siguiente. Te quiero. This is probably the set of words that we're the most familiar with, right? Te quiero or te quiero mucho. So although to some degree, yes, it could be an equivalent in English if we had to translate it to I love you. In my opinion, there's more of a I care about you or I really care about you quality. And this can be used between romantic partners, between friends, between family members. So it really covers a broad spectrum of who we say te quiero to. Between friends, I think it's an awesome way to show how much you care about someone or how much you esteem them and that they're relevant in your life. So it's not uncommon when I hang up the phone or say goodnight to a friend to say te quiero mucho or te quiero amigo, te quiero amiga, however you want to say it. And obviously it's for somebody that you've known over some time because you've developed, a special friendship with that person. But I can't even imagine living in a world where this layer of language doesn't exist, because it really does change your philosophy about life in general and how languages can really shape our culture, our values, our communication. So maybe consider speaking to your friends in Spanish and applying te quiero and see how it changes also your philosophy. And in a romantic sense, te quiero is what would be used in parejas or in partners before advancing to the te amo stage, which, okay, te amo is the big I love you. So who do we actually use te amo with? Well, if you're in a more advanced stage of your relationship, obviously if it's a very, very good friend, then sometimes friends prefer to say te amo, although I still think the most common is typically te quiero. And I actually asked a few of my friends in Mexico just to have a little bit more of a survey, and the answers were pretty consistent across the board. Was somebody who they were really in love with in a romantic relationship, or with maybe like a younger sibling who's like still pretty little, or a niece or a nephew, then you might say like, oy te amo, like in that sense. Or sometimes my female friends said they would say te amo to their moms, right? Like maybe when you say goodnight. But again, for the most part, it tends to be more romantic. Now, to wrap up this little love fest, we need to talk about Spanish hugs and kisses, because they are a little bit different and they have context in both friendships and relationships. If I'm texting a friend or leaving a voice message, or even if we're on the phone and we're about to hang up, I would send them besos, right? Virtual kisses. So I would typically say, or it would typically be said, te mando un beso, or te mando besos, te mando muchos besos. And you're sending them kisses, and it's pretty casual. If I'm in person, instead of saying the whole te mando, because that's typically something you would say like over the phone or in writing, I might just eliminate the first part, and instead of saying I'm sending you, I would just say besos. So sometimes when I leave work and I say goodbye to some of my friends, I'll just say nos vemos, besos, and that's perfectly normal too. All right, hugs, hugs, hugs. These are all over Mexico. Mexico likes to hug, but they also like to give a lot of virtual and verbal hugs. And this is all across the board. We say te mando un abrazo, te mando un fuerte abrazo, or just simply un abrazo, un fuerte abrazo for everything, right? So whether you are saying goodbye to a friend in a text message, or maybe you're hanging up the phone, it could be in an email. I've seen these. when you write on somebody's Facebook wall for their birthday. So I say un abrazo to my female friends, to my guy friends, them in return to me. It's just a part of the culture in general, and I think it's one of my favorite things because it changes the way I feel in general about life and super shaped by the language. En fin, there is so much love and cariño floating around, and you do not have to wait for your next trip to Mexico or to Latin America to start developing these new ways of interacting with your friends. Yo soy Don Tai, les mando un fuerte abrazo, los quiero mucho. Besos.